We are so excited to be here celebrating the launch of Women Writing Intentionally Collective's first book in the Wounded Women series, Betrayed, which is now live on Amazon. So Jenny and I are the co-founders of the Women Writing Intentionally Collective, and we are here today with some of our beautiful, amazing, and inspiring Betrayed authors. And we're all just so excited that the book has finally gone live and gone out into the world. So thank you so much for being here, ladies.
Yes.
We're so excited. Congratulations. It is an absolutely huge achievement to not only write your story, but to actually be bold and brave enough to share it and publish it and have it go out into the world. So this is not a small achievement, and we really honor you for stepping up and saying yes and being a part of this journey, because we know that it has been a wild ride for each and every one of us. So we really just want to take the time to say thank you and to honor you for being here with us.
So, what are we doing today, ladies? Other than celebrating?
Talking, sharing.
Yeah. We're gonna
listening.
Yeah, we're gonna do reading, right? We're gonna read some of our experts from our chapters. We're going to draw some cards, right? Some of the ladies have some amazing card decks, and we're going to draw some cards. And we're also giving away some books. So when our book actually gets a physical copy, we are going to post them to a couple of people. Just Tracy and I are going to kind of give them away for a couple of different things. So what do we give?
If you are watching live, we would love you to comment and let us know that you're here. So we will be giving a signed copy of the book to the person who comments the most.
Most comments.
We are also going to do one copy, a random drawing for somebody who has purchased the book and who sends us a copy or posts a copy of their image in the comments or DMs Jenny or I the proof of purchase to say that you've purchased the book, and we'll do a random drawing for somebody who's purchased the book to say thank you.
Yeah, so if you've purchased the book, anybody that's watching, if you've purchased the book and you either drop it in the comments or DM Tracy or I, we're going to just randomly pick one person to send a physical book to. And then what's the third way?
The other one was
reviews.
if you leave us a review, again, send us a screenshot of your review. Once you've left it on Amazon, we will also be sending out a signed copy to somebody who leaves a review on Amazon as well, just as a thank you. And, because everybody loves to have a copy in your hands, right? There's something really special about actually opening a book and having it in your hands. So that's something that we are really excited to be sharing with everybody.
Yeah. So let's see. I have a couple of questions for you ladies. Now, whoever wants to answer, just answer. But I have a couple of questions, kind of like an author's panel. Okay. So first of all, I want to know, once you submitted your chapter, what was the feeling or the emotion or the thought once you hit send? When you sent it off to us, what, if you can remember, what came up? Anybody that wants to answer, just rapid fire. I'm really
cried.
Go ahead.
I thought, oh my God, here it goes.
Here it goes. Yeah.
I can't do anything anymore. It is over there.
Yeah. You can't take it back, right?
Yeah. That's right.
That is so common. I think many of us have been feeling that exact same thing, that, Oh my God, what about when people read this? It's like, what if they know who we're talking about? What if the person we've written about
Reads
what we
it.
said?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I suppose for me, I'm a pretty open book, so I don't know. I don't mind if they read it and they have a feeling about it. That's on them. But I suppose for me, I was just so excited, and that feeling of just like that self-pride, because, I've had a pretty hard year with still not being able to walk properly and that. So I think a sense of achievement, it gave me a purpose. It gave me the ability to create that sense of achievement, and it actually boosted my self-esteem, and it's something I've always wanted to do. So I just felt this elation, total elation when I submitted it. It was just like, woo! You should have seen me. I was hobbling along on my crutches out to my family going, oh my God, it's done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's
good.
awesome. Yeah.
Well, I cried as soon as
So I was.
I'm sorry. I cried
Oh, go
as
ahead,
soon as I
Lindsay.
hit send.
Oh.
I cried. And I thought I would cry more while I was writing it. But if you read my chapter, The Gift of Letting Go, you'll see there's kind of like an artsy side to it. But I didn't start that way. I think I had the story, the drama in my mind first. So I just, had to purge that. And so when I was writing, it was more of this, Ruth knows she was my angel, to go through the emotional events that happened, that the story that I was telling from an outside perspective, from the writer's perspective. For some reason, it was like holding back the drama part, the part.
Yeah.
And so as soon as I hit send, it was like waterworks. And it was half pain and it was half celebratory. It was kind of like, okay, I walked through the fire, and now it's done. Now it's out there, and I don't have to own it anymore. That actually, it was very surprisingly liberating.
Yes. That emotional journey that you're talking about all of the drama and stuff as you're writing it. I don't know about anybody else, but I often find that the words that finally make it onto the page are like this much of the emotional journey that you go through as you are reliving the emotions or reliving the situations, re-examining them, feeling all of the feelings, and then this much makes it down onto the page. It doesn't seem to convey the depth of the emotional journey that we have been on in quite the same way as we felt it as we were writing it. Does anybody else ever feel like that?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
1,000%.
Yeah. So I had it in my head a lot, and I procrastinated a lot, and I cleaned a lot of things, and I don't typically do it. And I was messaging both Tracy and Ruth, because then I had it mostly done and typed, and then it was like, hey, we need the chapter by this day, and it's like a couple days later, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. And then I was like kind of going through it, and then I was like, okay, here's the thing. I can keep changing it, or I can just send it. And so I am like, it's going to be done. And then I just sent it. But then like after the fact, like I had weeks, and all of a sudden I'm like, I have a lot of anger. And I felt a lot of anger writing it too. And I felt a lot of sadness. And then, and a lot of my experiences in my life is with my kids, and then again, those are their stories. So it's like, how do I tell my story and keep their story theirs and not tell it, but still have my own, it's very interesting.
Yeah. I did have days where I said that I was feeling ragey, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ragey. Yeah.
Lots of rage, but also a lot of hurt and a lot of pain, definitely. Lots of tears. Like I could only write in chunks. And there were times when Jen and I went to coffee shops to write so that we were focusing on what we needed to be doing, which was writing. She's like, oh my God, are you crying again? So yes, there were lots of tears for me as well, and I think that is, you know, it is one of the things that we came into this knowing it wasn't going to be an easy story or an easy journey to share, and to go through those things, to find those silver linings and to find all of the beautiful things that came as a result of whatever the situation that we each of us have been sharing has been, that there is something good that came out of those things. And it was really interesting for me to go through some of those other things and think, oh, now what was the silver lining in that? Oh, if that hadn't happened, then this other thing might never have happened in my life. So it was cathartic as well as heavily dramatic.
You took the longest to submit your chapter. Truth be told, ladies. So, what was the emotion when you finally put it in the Dropbox
When
or
I
in the Google Drive?
Ruth, what was did I say?
To be fair, I don't think Tracy was the last. Just saying.
Okay.
She may have been the second last person.
Who would have been the last, Ruth?
I don't know. Well, see, this is the thing, right? I discovered that when I am writing in a book that I am also involved in the editing in, I get way too in everybody else's headspace. So I'd started writing my chapter and I was like, yep. And what I did want to say about this is that for me, so much of my chapter was written in our circles, and that it's not what I intended to write about at all. And literally, I reckon 2/3 of it just flew in those, 3 circles or whatever that I attended. The bit that you were just saying, Tracy, about the putting it together and seeing the silver linings and drawing those correlations, that was harder. That was the days where I was like in the office going, I'm not sure, and I want to talk to anyone today. But yeah, because I was involved in the editing, I was literally feeling all of your emotions and living your stories and all of those sorts of things. And I had to just go, no, I can't write mine, because otherwise I'm going to start telling some of Amanda's story or telling some of Lindsay's story or putting something else that's not me into it. So I had to take a huge step back, which then meant that my chapter was rather late. But and I'm very thankful that there was no pressure from you guys for that, because I really, really appreciate it. So my feeling when I handed it in was like, initially I was like air punching, like, fuck yeah, it's done. I've done it. Like, obviously running late, but also it was a difficult topic to write about and I've never publicly spoken before. So there's a lot in there for me. But it literally took about 2 hours, I think. And then I just got so scared of everyone reading it, Jenny and Tracy reading it. I think it was overnight. And I did sleep, but in the morning I was like, they haven't messaged me yet. They haven't read it yet. Oh my God, they hated it. They have read it and they hated it and they don't know how to tell me. So all of those doubts and fears and all the things I help people through in my work, I have experienced every single one of them in the last few weeks. So it's been interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's what makes you so good at helping people through it, is because you go through it yourself and you contribute to these multi-author books, and you know what these stories are like and what each of us go through. So you are highly qualified to be able to help people through it, because you walk the walk. So
Even more this time.
yeah. So you get a pass, Ruth, on your chapter being last, but we're not going to bypass Tracy. So Tracy, what was the emotion when you
Oh my God.
Ruth got you an out, so I'm looping.
I tried.
Yeah, she tried. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I do feel like there was a bit of, oh my God, that's just going to have to do. Like, it just is what it is.
Okay.
But I mean, I knew the story that I wanted to share. And ironically, like Ruth said, in the circles and stuff, the story that I started to show was completely different to what I thought I was going to be talking about. And so I knew that I was always writing towards this particular event that happened that actually inspired the whole series in the first place. But I wasn't actually sure how long it was going to take me to get there. And I do remember Jenny was like, are you like, how much longer is this chapter going to take? Like, why are you not finished yet? And there I am, like 5,000 words in.
Like 6,000 words.
No, well, I was like 5,000 words in. And I'm like, I still haven't actually even started this story yet. So funnily enough, my just so that you guys, for transparency, my first draft was 6,247 words to begin with. And then I self-edited, and Jenny was ruthless. But having said that, and I'll come back to this in a second. Not all of those words are wasted. Some of them I'm pretty sure will end up in my broken chapter. I'll have to look at them and work out how they fit in with what I've already got written. But I then I got it down to like 5,000, just around the 5,000 word mark when it went in for editing, and it finished up at about 4,500 words in the end. So like that was a pretty big chunk of the writing that came out. And like I said, some of those pieces may then still be used because I don't know about the ones of you who are continuing to write in the series and who are writing in Broken and or Burned. I would be really curious to know how many of you found that you were simultaneously writing your other chapters at the same time because they're interwoven and overlapping in so many ways. Was that just me?
No, I've found that as well. So I've basically written my chapter for my next book, but because it was like a simultaneous writing. Like I had two pieces of paper on the go because I like to handwrite things before I type them because I think that provides that connection for me with my story more than typing it. I can disconnect, whereas if I handwrite it, I get that real connection. So yeah, I've got another. My next chapter's already on the go. I'm thinking, I think I might have to extend my word count on that one.
Yeah, I've started Broken as well, but only because of bits I've pulled out of Betrayed. But it was the same as you, Terry. It was really interesting to do that simultaneously. Like I had 2 Word docs open and I'd write a paragraph and go, nope, that's not in this one, and then just pop it into the other one. It was like this whole mind split simultaneous thing. It was cool. I haven't experienced that before.
No, it was a really interesting experience. It was good. I'm like, these creative juices are flowing, and just kept going.
Yeah, I feel like as I was working through Betrayed, and then all of a sudden I had this epiphany, and I went, oh, that goes into Broken. But I actually haven't written any of it yet. The only thing I have written for Broken right now is a poem that kind of came to me like a year ago.
I love it.
Yay.
So just it needs a little bit of tweaking, but not a whole lot. And then
I love it. I love that idea.
Full transparency, I keep thinking I'm on the fence on if I will pop into Broken at the last minute or not. I have a story. I just don't know if it's ready for the world yet. But that said, even though I've been considering it, one thing that was easy about my story is it's very isolated. Yeah. So I didn't have any crossover. But it has been running in my mind like, how would I tell it? This is the thing that's coming to mind that I want to say, but is this the right time? So there's definitely that dance between our, engaging in our own authentic expression, which we always have the opportunity, but there are times we are really, really pulled to do so. Like my experience when I heard about Betrayed. And then that feeling of when it is out there, the ripples that it will cause, positive, negative, the waves, you know, and how will that come back to us? And there are certain things that we get to live and shout it out right away, and other you know, I'm sure a lot of people had to have some time before they were ready to write about their experiences, and I'm so looking forward to hearing and reading all of your stories for Broken. If I do not join that book, please know I will be sad. Like, yeah.
I think it's normal that you doubt yourself once in a while. I doubted quite a lot about what should I write, how should I tell it, but in the end, it was like, just let it go, write it there, and then you edit what you want to edit, and the rest must stay, and it must be read, and that's it.
Yeah.
So true. Terry, it's your turn. When you hit send, I want to know what went through your head, emotions or any kind of reaction. What went through you?
Well, first, when I wrote it, that was, I think, on our first circle. I had maybe half of it. And then I think within a 2-week period from there, I completed it. Because I think I shared in our private group of authors where now I'll take a couple days and reread it and go through it again. I didn't look at it for probably 3 weeks. I wrote it, it was done, and for whatever reason, there it sat. And so I thought, shoot, I've got to, read it again, find out when the deadline is and all that. What's interesting, and you and Tracy know this, leading up to even writing starts making me physically ill. The anxiety, the depression, the nightmares, I even want I don't know if you guys knew that, but I almost just wanted to back out of the whole thing, even though I know it's what I'm supposed to be doing, in all 3 books. And so when I send it, I don't know, it's very interesting. I don't feel much. And what's interesting, even today, and this happened with Quiet and Badass, and I remind myself of today I had to remind myself, I'm going to be here with all of you. Sometimes I wish, why can't we all be together in one room? Because what happens in my world, I feel so lonely and so very alone in my accomplishments. And, I'm kind of having a breakthrough on that. However, that's the way my life has always been, where it's, most, outside of my husband, of course, but, he hasn't always been with me. So most of upbringing all through today, accomplishments have been just me celebrating myself or patting myself on, there hasn't been, any, the people who are for you. So when I sent it, I didn't think much about it. However, leading up to the publication of it, that's where all of a sudden this anxiety kicks in and this feeling of sickness. And with this chapter or this book, I was really, truly able to let go finally of 50 plus years of, that hanging on to, whether verbal and mental abuse and the programming and just that feeling of inadequate and not enough, that horror. It's been a horror movie, my life, internally. And so I was able just to really let all that go, take my chapter even to a different level of healing, because I realized that's all my before story.
Yeah.
Now, let's be moving into our after story.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I
Terry.
think if I write, I'll always think that I have to be going back,
Yeah.
and I don't. And so, same with a couple of you, the thought of who's going to read it, and then, what are they going to think? And, and internally, heaven forbid my family reads it, on my side. But then I'll close because you guys know I can talk until Jesus comes home. But one thing I wanted to share is the other night I woke up to what I call a God whisper, and the other morning it was June 30th. I was awakened by a God whisper, and what woke me up was, "You have nothing to lose." And as I opened my eyes, I'm laying there smiling, thinking, wow. And it was just so profound because I knew what that meant. And it also meant regarding me being vocal about my own life story is you have nothing to lose. Because those that I'm fearing, well, what if they read it? What will they think? They're the story. So, I have nothing to lose if they feel that way, because it won't change how they feel about me anyway, if that makes sense.
Totally makes sense. Yes.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, whatever the question was, that's my answer.
Yeah.
Good answer.
Love it.
I don't know how I feel,
I really love that though, because I think what is important is that the people who do love us, who really love us and see us, what we share, no matter the darkness or the shadows or whatever, will not change how they feel about us, and will not change that they love us or that they continue to see us. And they're the people who matter, right? So
I'd like to speak on that.
yeah,
Go
Lynn.
for it.
So my sister wound is sadly with my actual sister. And so writing about family when there are, first of all, everybody in the story is alive.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the people I'm in contact with, most of them, all of them don't know that they're in this. Some of them know that I'm writing about this story. But those that I care for and love very deeply, that I am close to, I care very much about how, not just about how they feel about it, but how they're represented in my story, even if I don't agree with certain things. And families, I'm gonna, like, not from a personal spot on this sentence, but just in a human development way, families that have trauma within them often have division and splits, which is something that I learned recently, and it was like a giant light bulb moment, because I can see the generations and the patterns, right, that we're breaking here. So there's a tendency to try to grab people on your side. And that is just a reaction from the decades of pain. And Terry, like you said, the old stories, right, as we're moving through them, we don't want to lose, even if what happens from us telling our story can't hurt us physically, that doesn't mean that fear isn't still inside us. And that's what the trauma is. That is what trauma does to an individual, is that leaves a mark that we're afraid it's going to hurt again, even if it's not. So writing about family was one of the reasons that I felt pushed creatively, out of both respect and love for my the people that were referenced, but also to make my story my own and my own voice too. Ruth, when you were talking about having to get space from the other stories that you were reading, I I resonated with that because I very much had to keep going back to, what will somebody think about so and so, one specific person or a few specific people think if I put this on paper forever. Well, I have to come back to my truth, and I have to come back to my story, make sure my voice is mine and I'm not censoring myself. And how do I do that in a way that meets also my needs for respect and love? It was quite a journey that stretched me, but that piece of, is it going to come back to haunt me if I speak my truth? It is real, even if it's not likely. the fear, that fear piece is valid, and that's what we came here to work through. So good for us, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that, in my work, I talk to people about all the time, in that there is a safe way to tell your story, and that if you are talking about things that are difficult in whatever way, but, particularly if it involves family and people who are still alive, and there can be some form of pushback, that there are ways to do that safely and creatively so that the author can tell their story, but stay safe. What I learned in going through this is that, yes, I could put all of those practical skills into place and the technical things and all the things that I know how to do, but I didn't know how to feel safe on the inside when I did it. And writing it was a breeze. Like that there was no tears. Like, it just came, it was great. But when it came to, oh, people are going to read this, oh, more people are going to read this, oh, holy crap. Like, literally on Sunday, I was doing I'm pulling it, I can't do it. How am I going to tell Jenny and Tracy? What am I going to say? It was, and I'm really glad I didn't, but the fear was that visceral. Do I care what people think? Not really. Like, on a rational level, no. It is my truth. I haven't been mean. I haven't told a story that is intended to hurt anyone else or anything like that. It was a story that has desperately needed to be told for a long time. So I don't care. But I kind of don't really care. Like you said, it's other people's thing. But I obviously care what I think, because the last few days have been horrible. So, but it's part of that healing, and it's part of them moving through it. And I'm really glad that I've experienced it, as icky as it may have been at times. So, yeah. Like Terry, I could talk for days, so I'll shush now.
And I just want to add something. I'd just like to add something to it. Like, so last night when I got the book, I sat up and I read it from cover to cover. And I just want to say thank you to the beautiful women that I've shared this journey with, because the vulnerability and the expression in that, like, it's a really hard journey to walk, to stand in our truth and put that stuff out there. So I, really honor all of you. And I'm so grateful to share this journey with you. Like, it has been the most amazing experience. So thank you.
Oh, thank you.
And I want to share one thing, why I did this. So yeah, my storyline, 3 of the people are still living. And they're the 3 that, whether I live or die, it wouldn't matter. So they're the you have nothing to lose. So I had a friend, again, all of you fabulous ladies live outside of where I live. So another one that lives outside of my globe, she finally read Quiet and Badass. And she reached out to me last night, sent a voice note. And I mean, the praise she gave over our book, when we did Quiet and Badass. And then when she read my chapter, she has shared my chapter with a couple close friends of hers who need that because they're going through the similar things. And when she shared this voice note, and I might be able to share it in our group chat, I just listened to that thinking, that's why some of us, and I'll speak for myself, that's why when God started writing the story that I didn't know I would be writing for that book and now for this series, why I knew, regardless of what the outcome would be on my end, it still had to be told, because a portion of my chapter in Betrayed is it's not about you. And so I remind myself that, it's not about me. It's about our book touching the lives of others who were the bold ones to have this voice. Some of our stories are hard to put on paper because once it goes to publishing, we know, bam, there it is. And the kind of like the World Wide Web, when that became a thing. And so it just validated that, like, I'll speak for myself, that I have nothing to lose. So when I woke up with that God message and that whisper, you have nothing to lose, and that's what woke me up, I just knew what that meant. Because, there's so many women out there that they'll read our book, they'll resonate with a couple of us or all of us or one of us, but it will touch them on such a level. Yet they're thanking the Lord that we're her voice. We're there. They'll still be that quiet one or still live in what they're living in, but they feel so more empowered because we're out there putting ourselves out there, being vulnerable and bold and telling our story, our truth. And of course, it is not in any way intentionally meant to hurt anyone. However, our story is our own. So thank God to, meeting Jenny 2 years ago and helping me to get back to that person of that boldness. And I don't care what people think, I do and I don't. You guys know what that means. But not having that alter the way God purposed me to live my life. Just stepping out and, I'm no longer going to be quiet. I'm going to be the bad.
Yeah.
Yes.
Love it.
I was sharing, I just want to piggyback really quickly on what Terry said, because there's a gentleman that I was sharing who on the outside is not the demographic, right? But once I told him what I have been working on, he said, I need to buy that for my daughters because they're going at it right now and they need to hear what you have to say. And that was even, that was a few days ago before the book was even published. So you're right. It's not just about us. It's about the impact and the encouragement and the healing and the transformation that we can spark in other people's lives.
Yeah.
I just want to say that is the foundation of the entire Women Writing Intentionally Collective, is that we are sharing these stories not just to slap a best-selling Amazon #1 bestseller on our profiles, but we are doing work. We're doing work, not just for ourselves, but also for other women, for other, Lindsay, you just said it was a father who has female children, right? So the impact of these stories go far beyond what we originally think of, and they stretch way farther than we have any comprehension of. And that is what Tracy and I wanted this publishing company to be. And we're not just here just to, create a collaboration book that anybody can think up, but we're here to do work and to find women like you that are aligned with that mission and want to not just empower women that are going through something right now, but a book is forever. So think of years down the road, somebody coming up that maybe is a baby right now, and they stumble across our book, 15 years from now, and it helps them at that point in their life. And so Tracy and I both, what you have articulated, Lindsay and Terry, that is what we wanted for this company, and it's happening. And thank you, ladies, for being here and for doing the work with us.
Well, you've impacted my life.
As you ours.
And you know, you're my therapist. You know. So
I'm
it's
not qualified, let me just say.
and all of you, you know, that's because you've impacted my own life in a way also that I hope that's how I move forward to help impact others, to help that healing and, you know, providing hope and a future and, you know, and the happiness and worthiness. So yeah, that's what you guys have been helping me do the last, I don't know if it's been 2 years now.
It's
You know,
pretty close, Karen. It's pretty close to 2 years. Yeah.
you met me in my darkest hours, so who knows what time frame it's gone by, but yeah, this is good.
I was gonna say, when you talked about how like there's nothing left to lose, I literally met Tracy while I was losing everything. It was completely like mind shift. You know, I have the same values. Integrity is the most important, but it's just like the things that I was taught to value versus and being who I was being told I was supposed to be one way, where I've learned how to be me. And so I went through a lot of that, like, oh no, people are going to read my story when we did Lunar Wisdom last year. But between then and this book, it's like the people that are here for me, right? Like my daughter is here for me. My mom is here for me. I have my best friends. I have my new family. I have my soul sisters. And so it's like those that I've lost, I've already lost. And those that I have will just see me more.
That's exactly it.
Yes.
Yes. I love you. See, I wish we were all in the same.
I know.
I'm a lover and a crier and a kisser and a lover. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. You hit that right on the head.
I promise I'll make it to Utah. You'll get that hug. It's gonna happen.
So I'm the luckiest one here because I only live an hour from Tracy and Jenny. So I'm gonna host everybody. Anybody that wants to come to Sacramento, California, we need to have a little shindig. Just gonna throw that out there.
Yeah, well, you know, when the hard copy comes out, we'll organize a book signing event here in Sacramento, and anyone who wants to come and be at the book signing event, you're welcome to come and join us.
And an author's retreat when the whole series is done.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. I
Yeah.
manifest it to be in Utah so I can actually get there. I can drive to the other end of the state more than I can drive out of the state.
Okay, Salt Lake City, apparently.
Here we come.
Yeah. Road trip.
Yeah, that's the date.
Well, speaking of not necessarily knowing what the impact that we are making on other people's lives is, there are many, many people that this book will touch that we will never know and we will never hear from. But we are very lucky to already have some amazing reviews coming through on Amazon. And I just thought I would share a few of those with you. So we've got this lovely one from Christy saying, fantastic collaboration. Spent an enjoyable afternoon reading this book. Was touched by the engaging and heartfelt stories these fascinating women shared. I feel every woman lucky enough to come across this book will relate to these essays on some level that will reflect within them for some time, as I will. Well done, ladies.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
We received one from Matt. So our story isn't only resonating with women. Like some of you said, men in your lives are like, my daughters need to read this. This is, like, this is so important. This one here, I just started diving into the stories. The first feeling that comes up when I read the shared experiences of women seeking belonging. It will heal the soul to know that we are not as alone as we think. We have this one here. Incredible and amazing stories. You won't just read these stories, you will feel them. You will feel the pain, sadness, and every other emotion on the spectrum. Have a box of tissues handy. Be prepared as you follow their journeys. For some, their physical, mental, and emotional healing will be lifelong. If you see yourself or someone you know, this book may be the first step towards a passage to wellness. A must read no matter what stage of life you are in. And then we have this beautiful one here. Do yourself a favor and grab this insightful book of vulnerable heartache and heartwarming experiences. Make sure to grab your favorite beverage and or snack too. Well, we've got snacks right here and drinks. I was hooked on the first chapter, The Gift of Letting Go. I felt as if I was teleported to the author's experience. Fantastically written. Gained new insight and perspective to work on in my own life. All these stories are filled with wisdom, something to relate and learn from. So there we go. So those are some of the early reviews that are coming in, and I just really wanted to share those with each and every one of you, because I know depending on where in the world you are, Amazon doesn't necessarily show you all of the reviews that are available from other countries. So beautiful words, and
Incredible.
so proud of you guys. And what I think this is the perfect time to do is actually to share a little sneak peek into our stories for those who are joining us live. So we will start with The Gift of Letting Go by Lindsay Joy.
Yeah, Lindsay, go ahead.
How did I know?
Everybody,
All right,
when
I
you start to read your chapters, just give yourself a little introduction so that everybody that's tuning in knows who you are, what you do, and the title of your chapter. But yeah, Lindsay, you're up.
Happy tears are like getting in my way here.
Yeah.
All right, so I am Lindsay Joy. I am an intuitive. I'm a best-selling author, hopefully again. And I'm a law of attraction coach. And this is the story that I felt called to share. It was a labor of love, and I couldn't be happier with the way that the words went onto the page. Okay. The Gift of Letting Go. The true fairy tale of losing a sister. Dear reader, let me tell you a story, but be wary. Like fairy tales of Brothers Grimm, this true story has no happy end. Once upon a time, there were two sisters as close as could be. They grew up side by side, sharing a room, clothes, friends, and hobbies. Making mud pies and riding their imaginary horses together, it seemed as if the two could not be separated. As they grew, they began to find their own paths and individuality, as is natural. By grade school, each had their own best friends. But deep down, they knew that title was secondary to the bond they held with each other. As young adulthood brought in romantic relationships, faraway college campuses, and more, the space between them grew, but always a thread remained that held them together, the bond of sisterhood. As life went on, the two sisters' paths wove in and out of each other's, sometimes close and thick as thieves, sometimes on their own journeys apart. Yet they always came back to each other. Now, dear reader, when we are children, we often believe that our most cherished relationships will never change. On silver screens and book pages, we learn about forever. This becomes the desire of our young, innocent hearts, that the ones we love will be with us evermore, stable, and unchanging, walking through life together. Yet some lives are not so fairy tale perfect. When they were barely in their 20s, it came to pass that the younger sister found she was unexpectedly with child. The older sister was there for her as best she knew how, attending the birthing classes and even driving the younger sister to the hospital when it was time. But then things began to change. And I think I'll leave it at that.
Oh, Lindsay, when you started reading, literally like felt it in my body.
I had full goosebumps, Lindsay. Oh. Thank you.
I hope that the readers continue on and see how things changed. And thank you for letting me share.
Thank you, Lindsay. I think I'm next. I'm next. All right.
Yeah.
So my name is Jenny Alberti. I am the co-founder of the Women Writing Intentionally Collective. And my chapter is actually, it was not at all when Tracy and I had the idea to make this book, it was something completely different. And the story changed. The reason that I wanted to make this book changed. And I hope that inside my story, I have articulated that shift and demonstrated where I was at the time when we thought of doing this book. And then that change and that shift to where ultimately the chapter ended up. So my chapter is titled Healing from the Shadows. And it is something that I've gone through somewhat recently. And as many of you, I'm still working through it. And, you know, that was one of the things with this book is that we don't have to have all the answers. We don't have to have this perfect outcome, this fairy tale outcome that happens. It's okay for us to still be in it and still be messy and be vulnerable in sharing that. So I'm going to go ahead and start reading. It didn't start at the beginning like Lindsay's did. So you'll have to jump in. So without fail, this well-worn pattern persisted, infiltrating both family gatherings and the confines of our home. A perpetual cycle of yelling, name-calling, gaslighting, and blame permeated our interactions. But on that particular morning, as I sat at my breakfast bar, I had a profound revelation. Nobody asked, but I actually am getting emotional reading it. I have felt nothing up until this very moment. Kind of like Terry. I felt nothing when I submitted it. I felt nothing when I wrote it, but now I'm getting teary-eyed. So I'm going to fight through this. But on that particular morning, as I sat at my breakfast bar, I had a profound revelation.
Do you need me to read it?
No, I got it. My family had been attempting to protect me. The outburst from my brother-in-law now made perfect sense, as did my sister's support of it. After 11 long years, the veil began to lift and reveal a truth that had eluded me. It became painfully clear that my partner had been systematically eroding my very essence, and I regrettably had allowed it to transpire. Stood witness. My family was unable to bear the weight any longer. The false narrative that my family had betrayed me at that disastrous pool party suddenly collapsed in the presence of truth. The actual betrayal I felt had been inflicted by my partner and by myself. as I had willingly disregarded my own well-being for years. It was at that moment that I acknowledged the urgent necessity for drastic change. As I reflect upon that conversation with my sister, I realize now that it was not an unproductive exchange. Rather, it served as the resounding wake-up call I desperately needed. There we go. I made it.
Deep breaths help.
Yeah. Literally, that was the first emotions I think that I have had the entire time. So there you go.
Okay.
Who's next?
Teresa's up next.
Teresa.
Hi, I'm Teresa. So just a quick thing about me. So I've worked in mental health and addictive behaviours for a long time, but I'm also an energy healer, and I combine those practices to have a holistic practice that supports women to step into their power. So that's a bit about what I do. My chapter is called Don't Leave Me Falling, when we betray and abandon ourselves. And I suppose that's part of what this story is about. So he was charming, handsome, and said all the right things. His children were a joy, blind to the events that would soon unfold. My heart overflowed with endless love. My intuition squashed as my head justified the red flags that quickly grew. The pain and trauma to follow would not be held by me alone. His reach was vast, and his tongue smooth as he seduced all with his promises and words. Isolation and fear would soon be mine. The darkness that influenced me at this time in my life gave me courage to step into my wisdom. My soul chose this journey to heal past traumas. Shame and guilt, my companions for so long, and I had blamed myself for all the events in my life that caused me pain. I was living as a victim, and until I changed my internal dialogue, there I would stay. I connected to my soul as it ebbed and flowed like waves against the shore with no beginning and no end. I stepped into my place of healing.
Beautiful.
Yes, beautiful, Teresa.
And I think like some of those excerpts, like that was a bit from different parts of my story. But yeah, I think it's when you read it aloud, it's that emotion that goes behind it. It was actually sitting in there and made it really hard to read.
Yeah, when you put your vocal codes on it, it opens up everything to just purge, flush through.
Oh, it does. It does.
Speaking of opening up vocal codes, you know who's next.
Who would that be? I was just second guessing what I was going to read, actually. Like I had it all worked out, but
Go with that first instinct.
yeah, well, I went with the first and then I changed to the second, and now I think I'm back in the first. Okay, all right. Okay, so I feel like I'm echoey at the moment. Anyway, my name is Ruth Fay. I'm an intuitive writing coach and editor with the Women Writing Intentionally Collective, which is like, yay. I work with mainly women, but not always. So I work with people to help them tell their stories and be heard and heal through the telling of their stories, and to do that, as I said before, safely and confidently. So when it is published into the world, they are feeling as empowered and wonderful and brave and confident and all of those things. Okay, can you tell that I'm not feeling that way? Yay, talk about learning through experience. So my chapter is called Discarded Bottles and Paper Plates. I hate headings. I've worked in writing for such a long time, and I really detest trying to find headings, but I have found the best way to do it for me anyway is through, there'll be something in whatever it is I'm writing, even if it's just a small blog post, that the words jump out at me and I go, that's the heading. And I might have to, tweak them a little bit. But anyway, I just thought I'd share that little tip because I'm avoiding.
At least you're honest.
We're laughing because we get it.
Thanks, guys. Okay. Well, I'm actually going to read this because at the start I was shuffling my fairy cards and one of the cards that two cards fell out. One was the inner child card and the other one is hope. And there is a section in my story where I write about hope. So that's the bit I'm going to read because that's the sign I needed. They're actually beautiful cards. Okay. So I am sort of towards the end of my chapter when I say this. Storytelling is music. It has rhythm. It flows and has a vibration and frequency that resonates with the people who need to hear it the most. Sharing our stories of betrayal, pain, and how we can transform our experiences to bring healing and abundance into our lives lets other people know that they are not alone. More than anything, for those of us in the depth of despair, who do not trust anyone, least of all themselves, hearing the words of another brings a sliver of light and hope. When it comes to listening to other people, especially when they talk about rape and assault, we as a collective can do better. We can make conscious choices that are free from judgment and choose how to respond in a way that supports the abused rather than the abuser. We can choose to question the status quo, conditioning and patterns that plague our society and be led by our own sense of fairness, compassion and humanity. We can and should, and I don't use this word lightly, call out people who do harm. In doing this, we all have the ability to change the patterns held within and without. If we listen and hear the words being spoken, as well as be aware of the energy that accompanies them, only then are we free to respond from our hearts rather than our heads. And as in the case of the beautiful people who have supported me through my journey of transformation, we can also be open to recognise and call out our loved ones when they harm themselves. Because through our conditioning and our corresponding beliefs, thoughts, habits and actions, sometimes we do, however unintentionally, betray our true selves. As a child, teenager and adult, I was betrayed, badly. I'm also keenly aware that during my life I have betrayed other people as well as myself. But I've also come to realise that I have protected and saved myself many times over. My brain and body simply did what they needed to do to look after me, and I no longer fight the memories. I have to stop there, thank you.
Oh, Ruth. So beautiful.
Powerful. Thank you.
Lots of emotion here today. I'd just like to put out there that releasing this book on the full moon was not an accident. It was very deliberate and very intentional. And for those who may not necessarily be tuned into the cycles of the moon, full moons are generally when there is a culmination of energy and power. It brings a certain completion to things, and it felt like this was both a fantastic opportunity for each of us as authors to be releasing our story out into the world and completing this project, but also for us to be able to release and let go and feel those emotions and, really bring these chapters of our lives to a close as well. So, feel the feelings, ladies. It's why we're here and it's why we're doing it on the full moon. And, you are safe and you are loved by all of us. And for those of you who are watching, there's also a lot of really supportive commentary going on in the private chat here, actually, on the party. So, I have to say that I could not be prouder of each and every one of the authors who have stepped up into the Wounded Women series container, because there is so much support and sisterhood on all levels across all 3 of the titles. And you girls just fill my heart with so much joy. I am so grateful for each and every one of you. So next up, we have you, Amanda.
Okay. So funny thing is, I picked what I read because the other stuff's still personal enough that, ironically, I don't want it live on Facebook. So they'll have to just buy it to read it. Anyway, I'm Amanda Knorr, and I work with the Moon, and I'm an intuitive guide to help women and others come back into themselves, to trust themselves, and to, I've spent so long of my life not trusting myself because I was taught not to, that we all need to trust ourselves and our inner knowing. So, and I'm also a farm wife, and I keep watching my husband out the window going back and forth hauling the hay and all that stuff. Anyways, when I hear the words betrayed or betrayal, I think of pain, intention, and the damage that follows. I have found that even when it is innocent and unintentional, it is still just as damaging. Based on my life experience, I find myself questioning what I can actually add to the conversation. Married at 18, I didn't attend formal schooling past high school, nor have I sought to build any kind of career. I feel very sheltered in many ways. The sister wound of betrayal runs deep in our subconscious. My perspective over the last few years is that our society functions and is built on the foundation based on this wound. The systems of power can't maintain their structure unless upon the backs of women. So many amazing women have taught and shaped me as I have grown. Looking from the outside in, I have had such a good life, yet I have stumbled and suffered, and I have had to fall apart to come back together from the inside out. And then you get to read some more, and says, although I don't mean to, I think I may be coming across a bit snarky, because I was feeling a little bit ragey there. And, I am still in the throes of processing and releasing the trauma of this betrayal, a betrayal of women sacrificing each other to maintain safety and security, following the program and teaching it to others over and over, or face the fear of rejection and loss.
Love it, Amanda.
It's like the very definition of the sister wound right there, right? That the trauma of the fear of loss and of being excluded and kicked out and not unloved and things like that is the fear that has had us continuing to perpetuate cycles over and over and over through the generations, because it's safer to keep throwing each other under the bus than it is to take a stand. Or it has been, but we're changing that.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Love it. I think next up we have Terry.
Oh, I just don't know what to read. So I'm Terry Katzenberger, and I just tend to sit back and soak in all of you ladies. I just being here brings me peace. So I have been a health professional since 2000, specializing in fitness, nutrition, and weight management, helping others to feel good about themselves and helping them regain control of their health, their life, helping people just to live that healthy, well, fit, strong, whole life from the inside out. And it's just been my deep, darkest passion. I love loving on people. That's just what I do. It's what God created me for. So I'm going to dive into a section here. We'll see how it goes. I titled the the chapter book, The Lady Within. I even contemplated changing that, but I tell myself I'm not a writer, but obviously I must be one. And with this one, and probably with my other, I decided what the first thought is and what goes there is what I leave it at. Otherwise, I spend my entire life second guessing myself, making changes and criticizing. So back in 2004, a mentor told me, it's not about you. In response, I thought, the heck if it's not. Although I was just being funny, in reality, I didn't understand what he meant. All I knew was that those words would remain forever in my consciousness. He never explained to my business partner and me what he meant. He left us to figure it out and let me know when you do. It wasn't until a couple of years later that it really hit me. It's not about me. When I took myself out of the equation, I began to realize that all that goes on in the world around me isn't about me at all. I began to realize that the way people feel about me, act towards me, isn't about me, Teresa Ann Thompson. It's about them. And to remain in my dysfunction would be to continue to make all things about me. I discovered that I don't need to take on the weight of another person's world. We were at a family gathering at my sister's house when I finally set myself free. Well, I thought I did. So that's not in the book, but in my head, I'm thinking, oh crap, I don't think I did until now. So we're at a family gathering at my sister's house when I finally set myself free from the verbal, mental, and emotional abuse of my mother. Once again, she began to belittle me in front of my sister, my older brother, and their families. I couldn't defend myself enough from her words as she recalled something completely embarrassing that had happened at an event I attended with my sister and her. I continued to stand my ground, telling her, I have no idea what you're talking about. That wasn't me. She insisted that it was and added, didn't you just feel absolutely stupid by acting that way in front of? I continued to respond, Mother, that was not me. I did not say that. I did not do that. I have no clue as to what you're talking about. I even remember what the inside of that house looked like that we were in. We batted the belittling back and forth as I continued to receive her words. Don't you feel so stupid? How could you not have felt so stupid? You looked so stupid. Then I heard a soft voice and a chuckle as my sister confessed, Mom, that was me. I said that to so-and-so. And the two of them laughed and laughed. It's like a knife to my heart when my mother, sister, and older brother laugh at me. They belittle me, make me the butt of jokes, and cause me to feel and look stupid purely so they can laugh at me. On this particular day, I asked my mother, why is it that every time you think about something stupid someone has done, you automatically think of me? She just chuckled and snickered along with my sister. No belittling of my sister, no telling my sister how stupid she looked, no telling my sister how gravely she had embarrassed my mother at the event. In contrast, my mother continually gets joy out of verbally beating me by bringing up things from 10, 20, and 30 years ago. If there was a hole in the earth during this conversation, I would have welcomed falling into it and disappearing forever. Instead, I got up, went into the house to get a water, then walked out the front door, got in my car, and I drove away. As I turned the corner, the tears fell from my eyes like a tidal wave. I couldn't control my reaction, shaking so hard for a moment, I thought I would just have to pull over. At that very moment, I had become absolutely broken. I mean, I was in my 30s, I think, maybe 40. On the windy ride home, I cried out to the Lord, why? Why do they treat me this way, the way they do? What is it about me that makes them treat me this way? I can't read through my tears. My Heavenly Father answered me by simply saying, forgive them, for they know not what they say. They know not how they make you feel, and they know not what they do. At this exact moment, when I received God's word, and repeated it out loud. 43 years of pain, sadness, and sorrow and loneliness were removed. And the story goes on. It's not about you. Step out of what is forever haunting you and causing you anguish and inner torment and say out loud, it's not about me. Dear beautiful sister, yes, you reading this book. It is 100,000% okay to set yourself free. And I'm giving you permission right here and right now. Get up and go get a water.
Oh, Terry.
It's amazing.
So beautiful. So sad, but I love the way that how you brought that back around.
Yep, that's why I have nothing to lose. Thank you.
There
I
are
love
so
you,
many
girl.
profound pieces in that, Terry.
Yeah.
You know what I'm loving is obviously I have read all of them numerous times. I'm really enjoying hearing you guys speak your words because as the editor, I'm trying to imagine that. And, you know, those of you who I know, it's a little bit easier because I've spent time with you, I felt you, I've spoken to you, whatever. But actually hearing you speak it how I thought you would speak it, or even when it's different, when there's inflections in different places, is such a beautiful gift. So thank you all for doing that.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Nina.
Yes. I work normally in the business world. I'm translator, editor, and now author. And my story maybe is a little bit different than the ones you wrote. It's a little bit of something old, very old actually, and it got mixed with something very new, something that happened last year. And it's called When a Door Closes, a Window May Open. And I have it here on the screen. So I will read it from the document that I have here. I begin from the beginning. The first paragraph is this. I suppose everyone has been betrayed at least once. The first time you feel this annoying disturbance inside of you that tries to deny what is happening. This then becomes like a void that returns every time you are betrayed. Afterwards, you can feel inclined to avoid any circumstance that could be potentially dangerous. Betrayal is simply an experience that never gets easier. The only thing you can hope to gain is the wisdom to deal with it in a more effective way, rather than not to deal with it at all and keep making the same mistakes. I have found myself doing this at times, but I try to be aware so I don't fall into this trap. I prefer to look at the open window rather than the closed door. I'm sorry, got a little bit emotional.
It's okay. Such beautiful words, Nina.
Yes.
I think
Beautiful.
the way that you opened your chapter is just so beautiful.
They are very old and they come back again.
Yeah, I think what you were saying there about how it creates a void that we just fall back into over and over is, or that we're afraid to fall into, and we try to avoid putting ourselves in those situations, it's so true. And I think we can all resonate with that. So thank you for wording it so beautifully.
Thanks to you. You give me the chance to do that.
You're welcome. Well, my name is Tracy Brown. I am the other co-founder of the Women Writing Intentionally Collective. My chapter is called Fitting In and Falling Out. And I am also reading from partway through my chapter. To be honest, I can't even count the number of betrayals I experienced and contributed to during those high school years. In the 9th grade, I recall being hauled into the vice principal's office because of a letter that I had written to one of the girls in my year who'd had a go at me because I was dating her ex. The letter was spitefully written, and I was so proud of myself for taking her down a peg or two, until I was pulled up for it and made to apologize. I don't know that putting two teenage girls in a room and forcing them to apologize to each other has ever brought about an authentic and heartfelt apology or mended rifts, but we both went through the expected motions. For the record, the boy in question wasn't worth the trouble. But I'm sure even if I could go back and explain that to my 14-year-old self, it would fall on deaf ears. In the 10th grade, I formed a close bond with a girl in my year who appeared bright and bubbly and lived close to my new home. She was skilled at ingratiating herself into social groups while using humor to mask her manipulative and catty nature. I'm a fairly roll with it kind of person, so I let her take the lead in our social activities outside of school. She had a crush on a guy who had previously dated her best friend, and in order to keep him in her social circle once her bestie dumped him, she set me up on a blind date with him in the strange and twisted hope that he would notice her while she extricated herself from her own relationship. Unaware of her ulterior motives, I discovered her plan when he rejected her advances and expressed genuine interest in me instead. Without going into all the teenage drama, our friendship became a competition. She was jealous and expected me to conform to her wishes, while I struggled with feeling unsafe and insecure. I had to balance my desire to fit in with the crowd against my urge to stand up for my beliefs and boundaries. More than once, she attempted to set me up with someone else to remove me as an obstacle in pursuing her own romantic interests. Once, she even kissed my boyfriend, expecting him to leave me for her. Different boy, by the way. She resorted to spreading lies about me to mutual friends and caused conflicts and misunderstandings. Despite the turmoil and drama, our friendship ultimately led me to meet the man who would become my husband and the father of my children. And witnessing my children grow into independent young adults has brought great joy and purpose into my life. And this alone makes all of the angst and turmoil of our teenage friendship worthwhile. Many other toxic female friendships followed through my teen years and into my early 20s, shifting from high school drama to workplace politics. And the common thread seems to be when I found myself in a dynamic where the relationship has zero consideration for me, my desires, or my well-being, and is solely focused on how my value and what I bring to the table benefits the other person. So that's just a small part, just before we get to the really juicy stuff. So
I love your use of that little bit of comic relief here and there.
yeah. I'm pretty sure it's a deflection mechanism, to be perfectly honest with you. You know, just
It's okay. We gotta balance out the heavy with the lightness.
yeah. So now if you have enjoyed listening to all of the excerpts and you haven't yet grabbed a copy of Betrayed, you can grab it. The link is just here on the live, mybook.to/Betrayed book. It's very important that you have a capital B for Betrayed and a capital B for book, or it will take you to a completely different book. So if you haven't grabbed your copy, you can grab it on Amazon now. Doesn't matter which country you're in, for the equivalent of 99 cents. So 99 Australian cents, 99 pence if you're in the UK, 99 euro cents if you're in Europe, 99 cents here in the US and Canada as well. So grab your copy. Like we said earlier, we are doing some giveaways. So if you have purchased a copy, do send us a message with your proof of purchase and you will go into the draw to win a signed hard copy of the book once it's released. If you have already purchased a copy and you've started reading it and you would like to leave us a review on Amazon, we will love you forever. Let us know what your thoughts are. Let us know what your biggest takeaways were. And then send us a screenshot of your review. And you could also go into the draw to win a signed hard copy of the book. And then, of course, we are doing another free copy for the person who has the most comments on the live video feed, which I think at the moment
I think Carolyn's
is
winning.
currently Carolyn Parker. So well, we will tally that up by the end of the video. So what I would really love to do now, for those of you who are watching, if you would like to grab a pen and a piece of paper, the authors have also hopefully got a pen and a piece of paper in front of them. In celebration of the full moon, we are going to, and the release of Betrayed. Full moons, for those of you who are not into, and I might have said this earlier, I can't remember if I just said this to the authors or if I said this to everybody. So if I'm repeating myself, I apologize. Full moons are actually a really great time to release and let go of whatever it is that you're carrying. So what we're going to do with our little pieces of paper is to write down something that we would like to release and let go or forgive or no longer want to carry forward, particularly if you have something that you want to release relating to the sister wound or betrayals that you have experienced. But by all means, this is a supermoon in Capricorn, which in general is about goals and ambitions and career and things like that. So if you would like to release something related to that, everybody can harness that energy. Or if you do know about the moon and you know what your rising sign is, by all means, focus on your individual house focus. And if you would like to know more about what that actually is, do hit up Amanda or myself after the live and we'll actually explain to you what that means if you would like more guided moon specific information. But yeah, so if you've got your pen and your piece of paper, we're just going to take a little minute to write down something that we want to release and let go. If you are following along live, you are welcome. Drop it in the chat, drop it in the comments, and let us know. If you, for the authors, you are welcome to share them, but you are not under any obligation to do so. You can keep it private if you would like. So just going to...
Can I just jump in?
Yeah.
Before you started talking, I felt the need to draw a Moonology card, funnily enough, which I only got for my birthday. So they're pretty new. So we're not, very close friends yet. But the one that I drew was the full moon in Aquarius, which is a woman releasing water flowing out of a jug thing. And the message is show the world the real you. And I just wanted to share that because it is so perfect for everything we're talking about.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah.
Full moon in Aquarius is also happening next month. So, yeah. Okay, so with that guidance, you've now got something to help anchor and direct your forgiveness and release work. So we're just going to take a little minute, write something down. If you are watching, feel free to drop it in the comments. And yeah. Also, don't overthink it too much. Go with whatever the words that come into your brain or those little whispers that come through are. I know sometimes when those little soul whispers come through, I think, oh no, I'm not going to write that down. But I have spent a lot of time actually over the last 2 years trying not to push away those messages when they come in and to actually just listen and honor them. So I'm going to go first and share what I've written down. You don't have to share if you don't want to, but you are welcome to do so. I am so Capricorn is actually in my 12th house, which is all about the inner self and self-sabotages and fears and dreams and things like that, and I tell you, when you start looking into working with the moon, you cannot make this stuff up, the synchronicities. And for me, that very much reflects in my chapter the fears that I had around betrayal and the toxic relationship dynamics that I had tie very much into the 12th house. So what I am releasing is the fear that standing my ground will make me unlovable. That's what I'm releasing. Does anybody else want to share what they're releasing?
I'll share part of it. As I did it a little bit last night too, right? Because writing this made me a little bit angry and ragey. And I am releasing the anger and rage as I now move forward with purpose to create change, starting with myself.
Beautiful. Love it.
Well, I'm going to go. I am going to release guilt. I feel that I have carrying around a lot of it for past relationships that I've had and the ways in which that relationship has affected people that I love. And myself as well. So I'm going to be releasing guilt.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Okay, I'll put one out there. So I did mine last night with the full moon here in Australia, but I didn't put this one on. So this is something new. So I'm going to release my fear. I release my fear of further injury and anxiety around cars after being run over by one. There's a lot of fear that goes with that, and it really is holding me back from stepping into my full potential. Like, I know it's there, but yeah, so that's probably 12 months in, I'm still not walking properly.
Yeah. Very.
I don't mind.
Sorry, what was that, Liz?
I was going to say, I don't mind sharing, or Terry can go.
You can go first, then I'll go.
Okay, sounds good. I actually love this because I had intended to do this morning, but it was a bit of a chaotic morning. All the sharing and messaging and emailing and texting. So this is really good. I choose to release on this full moon and the release of our book Betrayed any residual anger from this and all sister wounds, grudges, resentments, or stuck energy towards the women in my life, fear of being seen, accepted, exposed in and for my truth, and fear of calling in the prosperity, abundance, love, joy, and freedom that wants to show up for me through this book and the new expansion of myself from this process.
Love it, Lindsay.
Like that. What she said.
You get it too.
Yeah, ditto for everyone.
For all of you.
That's it. Well, I'm releasing social anxiety that has about crippled me. Something new that I didn't think I'd ever have to live with, but I've been living with it now probably since 2016. Social anxiety, insecurity, depression, all the things that are truly holding me back from moving forward into what God created and purposed my life for. I know what it is. I see it. It's in my hands. And it's like I'm wearing cement shoes. And so I am releasing all of that on the launch of our book. How can I not get up and get a water and walk out that door into a brand new, bright future with a clean slate and just go for it? I have nothing to lose.
Yay.
Yay. Love it.
Nothing to lose. And so much to gain.
Yep, thank you.
Nina and Ruth, did either of you want to share yours?
Yeah, I choose to release second guessing myself. Just go for it, I would say.
Yep.
Yes.
So good.
Too
I
much self-doubt don't get you anywhere.
It's that stuck, isn't it, Nina?
Yeah.
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 My releasing statement has come off the back of a message from Laurie the other day, yesterday, which was kind of lovely. Who's one of the other authors in the series, for those of you who don't know. So mine is, I release everything, all of the ugly that holds me back from shining my light on myself and stepping into my purpose fully and with joy. And Laurie's message was beautiful, but part of it was make sure you shine that light on yourself. And I was like, oh my God. Like, I hadn't really thought of it in that context. And it's been bounced around in my head ever since I got it. So yeah.
Perfect. I love it. Shout out to you, Laurie.
Yeah, Lori. Right.
Okay, well, we are going to wrap up shortly, and we thought that we would wrap up with, because we have so many beautiful, divine, spiritual women here, we have invited those who would like to draw an oracle card for the collective, for those who are watching, for each other, for anybody who may be watching this on replay. This card is for whoever needs to hear it in the moment that you receive it. This message is for you. So each author that will be reading from their deck has a different deck to share, so we will do that. Also, for those of you who did write down your thing that you're releasing, you can tear it up, you can set it on fire and burn it. Burning it is definitely one of the best ways to release, because it is that visceral response as you see the paper burn. You can watch it transform from paper into ash. You can envisage whatever it is that you're releasing being transformed and transmuted back into energy and being sent back into the universe. You can smell the smoke. It's very elemental. taste it in the air, see it, floating away. So fire is definitely my preferred method. And I know it's Amanda's as well. But you can also, there are other things. You can tear it up and you can bury it in the earth if you prefer. You can rip it up into little pieces and, flush it down the toilet, or, let it go in a body of water. You can do whatever it is that you want to do with it. But I do recommend actually disposing of it somehow so that you are physically letting go of whatever it is that you wrote down. So make sure that you do that after I finished. So I'm going to let the authors who have their decks decide who's going first. I can see you shuffling, Lindsay, so you can go first if you want.
Sure, the card just flew out. Yes. Right, let me find the page here.
So also let us know which deck you're using as well.
Yes. Okay. So this is perfect. Before I get into the card itself, I always like to share, especially, it's just a reminder, and it's a good reminder for those of us who work with the cards and work with our intuition, and it's great information for those who do not know. If you've never worked with cards before, please do know that the cards do not have the power. There's no power in these cards. They're not magic. They might be special sentimentally, but the messages that are coming through from our souls, from our higher self. Some people call it our inner being. There's different words for it. So those of us who are practiced at tapping in, we'll call in a message for the collective or for ourselves. And it can be for a specific topic or question or intention, or it can just be, what message do I need to know today? What does my soul want me to know today? So I have chosen from one of my newer decks. It's one of my favorites currently. It's Rebecca Campbell's Work Your Light deck, which I love. It's got some beautiful art. The cards are amazing. And one of the reasons that I chose this deck today, not just because it's so beautiful, but because we're all light workers here. And I just have to point out, side note, personal thing here, I'm just so proud of the immense bravery of the women in this group, in this circle, in this book, and in this series. We've talked a lot about the healing and the hard emotions, but I don't think anybody's specifically said yet how brave you have to be to step up and go through this. And there's a lot of multi-author books out there, and some of them have twice as many authors as we do. So the amount of women that stepped up are freaking brave. Talk about badass. The women that are here presenting themselves, not just living their stories, not just writing the hard things down on the page, but then giving it to the world forever. That is freaking badass. So congratulations to all of you. And for anybody tuning in online, just know that there's immense, I'm so blown away by everybody here for showing up. And the card that I pulled that flew out of the deck for us today is Awakening. Isn't that gorgeous?
Ooh, so good.
Energetic upgrades, a new way of being, integration. So that sounds pretty appropriate as this full moon and the release of the book. It does kind of feel like a portal. We're stepping into a new version of ourselves with everything that we're releasing, and a new version of our lives with what we've let go, what we've learned through this experience of not just sharing our story, but of being published, which is very real. So I will read from the book, but that's kind of my immediate intuitive takeaway. You are going through a period of awakening. Things are changing within you at many levels. You are starting to remember ancient truths and discovering more and more about who you are and why you incarnated. You may find that you are experiencing past life flashbacks, seeing the invisible thread that is woven through all of life, or even feeling Kundalini Shakti rise through your body from the base of your spine. That's the energy that everybody has within them. The most important thing for this time is not to overthink it and to stay grounded. Share your experiences with like soul people, I see you soul people, while you consciously integrate them. Journal and pay attention to your dreams. You are remembering and your soul gifts are emerging. During this time of transition and awakening, you may be called to devote yourself to being of service. There are ideas, truths, concepts, books, and creations waiting to be birthed into this world. Stay open to receiving them. Pulling this card may be a sign that you are here to birth one of these creations into the world. Hey, how about that? Or perhaps you are being called to make a shift in your life in order to be of service. Don't think too much about it. Instead, repeat the following activation, which is, I surrender to my awakening. I allow the Shakti energy to rise from the base of my spine. I open myself up to the universe, using me in a way that delights my mind, body, and spirit. How perfect is that?
So juicy. Love it. While I was shuffling my cards just then, I just dropped half the deck under the desk.
So the card you need's in your hand still.
So now we have about half the deck that whatever card we're meant to have is clearly from there. And with that, I guess I'll go next. I am also using, while we're leaning into that Rebecca Campbell energy, we are using her brand new Healing Waters Oracle deck, which is absolutely gorgeous. Rebecca does beautiful decks. This one's really soft and floaty, and I feel like the energy of water, we as humans are something like 75 or 87% water. And that is, we are water. So the card that we have is the rainbow, and it says sweet relief, new beginnings, a new way forward. So I think that's a beautiful message, actually. So this one says, and this deck actually only came out on like the 27th of June, so it's brand new. There are countless myths from all corners of the world that feature rainbows. In most cases, the rainbow symbolizes a bridge between heaven and earth and is a sign of good fortune. Perhaps the most widely known story comes from Irish folklore. It says that there's a pot of gold waiting at the end of the rainbow, guarded by a leprechaun. In Norse mythology, Bifrost, the rainbow bridge, connects Earth with Asgard, the home of the gods. Ancient Japanese folklore says that rainbows are bridges that the ancestors of humans took to descend to the earth. In the Old Testament book of Genesis, God sets a rainbow in the sky as a comforting symbol to humanity that he will never again destroy the earth with floods. In this oracle, the rainbow is here to comfort and reassure you that the future is full of hope. If you've been going through a challenging time lately, the rainbow is your sign that there are clearer skies ahead of you. Rest deeply in the knowledge that the rainbow brings with it a feeling of sweet relief and a simpler future. There are new beginnings beckoning you forth. There's a clear and vibrant way forward, and the path is steady with opportunities for deep joy, safety, comfort, and peace. So this one has an affirmation, which is, I'm ready to welcome the new beginnings that are waiting for me.
Oh, beautiful.
So beautiful follow-up to Lindsay's awakenings.
So funny how they're so similar in a way.
I know.
Really
well,
cool.
and like different facets of the same message, I think.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, you can't make this stuff up. But also I love what you were saying, Lindsay, about like the cards aren't the magic. We are the magic, and the cards are just how we are communicating that divine message through us. So yeah, beautiful. Who's next, ladies?
I'll go next. So the deck that I chose was not what we were talking about. So the card that I pulled for us earlier out of my soul embodiment affirmation cards, what called to me was this one. So it's called Native Spirit Oracle cards. So they're beautiful and earthy. And what came up was called Spirit Keeper of the East. So they're just beautiful earthy cards. So the card meaning, a fresh cycle is occurring in your life. Wipe the slate clean. It's now time to release the old and start again. No matter what happened in the past, it doesn't need to repeat in the future. Your native spirit wants you to know, in native traditions, the directions are honoured. It believed that every direction has associated spirit that can be called upon. In the great cycle of life, the east is the place of the rising sun. It's associated with the planting of seeds in springtime, birth, and the waxing moon, and new beginnings. Pulling this card means that this is a close of one cycle and a beginning of another. Although it's often difficult to release familiar routines, situations, relationships when they no longer empower you, your native spirit asks that you not cling to the old, but set sail into new waters, face your fear, and allow yourself to stretch in a new direction. Wonderful opportunities will be born in your life. So stand still, breathe, and center yourself. Then slowly turn in a circle. Close your eyes and feel the energy of each direction. There's a difference in the feeling of each direction. Stand facing east as the sun rises to sense the unique energy of that.
Oh, I love that.
So perfect.
So
yeah, because the cards fell off the table and one card just popped out and that was it. So I went, okay, we're going with that then.
yeah. Perfect. Okay. Ruth, Amanda, who's going to fight it out?
Yeah.
I think we.
I'll go
That's what I
last.
was going to say. I was going to say I think we should end on Amanda. Yay.
Are you procrastinating again, Ruth?
No, it's already.
Okay.
So I did a reshuffle because I drew the cards earlier, and the same one was on the top when I turned it over. So this is obviously the one.
Love it when that
I used Karen Kay's Oracle of the Fairies, which is like they're my go-tos. They're my happy place cards. And the card is of hope. And the picture, I don't know if you can see, but it has a rainbow on it as well. So when you were talking, Francie, I was like, oh my God. So the message here is hope is always there, even when we can't see it. Optimistic expectations can help change a negative situation into a positive one. And these cards they're quite short, like the little bits in the book and stuff. But I love that they talk about the fairies, because for me, that's just the magic in our lives, and being aware of those little moments of beauty or inspiration or whatever, particularly when it relates to nature, and then what that speaks to us is sort of how I feel these cards speak. Anyway, it says, the fairy of hope flies in to remind you to believe in hope, for it's the key to the door that can lead you away from your current predicament. No matter how hopeless things may seem, if you look deep inside your heart, your spiritual heart wisdom will reveal a glimmer of hope, and this can lead you to a brighter future. The fairy tells us always to stay full of hope, because positive thoughts and beliefs can literally change your future. So I thought that was quite fitting. On this card, we see a rainbow, a symbol of hope, and the dove of peace flying towards the fairy shows us that hope and peace often come together and that anything is possible. Sometimes we need an extra boost, so the fairies fly in on the wings of the dove to let us know that they're with us while we're experiencing difficulties. Remaining hopeful while those around you are full of doubt and negativity can be extra challenging. But remember that hope comes from deep within our hearts and is an excellent habit to cultivate. Heart wisdom and hope will see you through whatever is going on for you and those around you right now. So have courage and trust. The fairy of hope walks hand in hand with peace and miracles. And I thought that was very fitting.
That's
Yes.
so beautiful.
So
Love it, Ruth.
So perfect. It really like ties. I feel like all of the cards so far have really tied in with each other just so beautifully. Like the messages overlap so well.
And I love the rainbow theme. Like I just turned over my card, and on the back of my card is a rainbow. I went, oh, there you go.
Of course there is. Of course there is.
Oh my God, we all need to get a rainbow tattoo to celebrate Betrayed.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Amanda.
Go, Amanda.
All right. So, as I would say, as typical, because I used the Wandering Star Tarot,
Oh, nice.
and of course, when you want a really nice, impactful message with tarot, you get a court card, and you go, huh? Okay. So it's the King of Cups, right? So cups are our emotions and our feelings, and this is either going to be attributes that we're becoming, I guess, a steward over emotions, or maybe we're going to meet somebody with these things, which would be feeling that warm-hearted, intuitive, and empathetic. So either we're going to getting those traits, or we're going to connect with somebody that has those traits. But because I always needed a clarifier with a court card, because I was like, what? I got the 7 of Wands. So we're going to need courage to get through our challenges so that we can have that empathy and intuitive warm-heartedness, either for ourselves or find somebody that will give it towards us.
Ooh, love that.
Wow.
And then, because it's been a long day, even though I've been on the computer all day doing this, it's been emotional. We need some self-care. And it is to tonight, or whenever, sometime tonight, connect with the earth.
Mm.
And Capricorn is a very earth
And look at
sign.
the little rainbow in a dress.
And a rainbow dress. So go out and put your feet in some dirt, have an Epsom salt bath if you need to, whatever, but connect with the earth. And then the secret sauce when we're finishing our releasing with the full moon is to sprinkle in some gratitude. And my gratitude is I am so grateful for finding my people, for the support I feel, the love I feel, for being seen.
Aw, I love you, Amanda.
Yay.
Oh,
I love all of you. You guys are like dream authors, honestly. Each and every one of you have stepped up to the plate. You have faced your fears. You have faced your challenges. You have been willing to be vulnerable. You have shared your story. You've done it in ways that are compassionate for the people who are involved in your stories. You have done it with self-compassion. And there is so much wisdom and beauty and truth in each and every one of your stories. And the fact that each and every one of you is willing to continue to show up and do the work, the shadow work, just being here and spending time with us is, I honestly couldn't have asked for more. You guys are just fucking love you.
And everybody that's not on the call too. We love you guys too.
Yeah. To Christine and Rowella and Stephanie and Helen and all of our other Wounded Women series authors in the other books. You guys are all included in that blanket statement. And also to our Quiet and Badass and Lunar Wisdom authors, everybody who is in our world and in our books, we adore you all. So thank you for being on this wild ride with us.
Yeah. Well,
this is the point where we remind you that if you are, excited about getting your hands on a copy of Betrayed, you can pick it up at mybook.to/betrayed book. Once you have your copy, if you would love to send us a picture of your proof of purchase, we would love to enter you into the draw to win a signed hard copy of the book. We would also love for those of you who have the book and who would like to leave us a review and let us know what your thoughts and your feelings about the chapters and what you've read are. We would be absolutely thrilled. Not only does that help to boost our visibility so that the people, the women, the men, the mothers, fathers, grandparents, daughters, sons, whoever it is who need to read the wisdom and the hope that these beautiful authors have shared in their chapters. It does help boost that visibility so that the right people can receive that wisdom. But also, if you would like to send us a screenshot of the review that you've put on Amazon, we would love to also pop you in the draw to win a signed hard copy of the book when it comes out. And then I think it's probably fairly safe to say that the winner of the live comment, most comments, goes to Carolyn Parker. So Carolyn, I will be in touch with you and we would love to post you a copy of the paperback hard copy book when it is available. So thank you so much for joining us live and participating. And so please help support our authors by buying a copy of the book. It is only 99 cents on Amazon. No matter which country you're in, you can get it for the equivalent of 99 cents. So please pop over and grab a copy and then send us your proof of purchase. We would love to send you some extra little freebies as well that we've got up our sleeves. If you are friends with one of our authors, do check out what their launch list freebie special offer was on their link tree. It should be in their link on their profile. So do check out, if you're connected to any of our authors, check out what their goodie is that they're giving away and make sure that you send them a copy of your proof of purchase as well to make sure that you get all of the extra bonuses that everybody is offering as a launch special. Does anybody else have any final words before we wrap up?
I do. I have experienced that sometimes when you leave a review on Amazon, it has to be approved. So sometimes it's best if you screenshot it before you hit submit. That way you don't have to remember to go back later and find it. You can send in your freebie right away. I don't know if that's in all countries, but that has been my experience.
Yes. Excellent reminder. So if you are leaving a review, take a screenshot before you hit submit, send us a copy of your review, and then we'll also know who it is when it goes live on Amazon so that we can make sure that we are sending the right person all of their lovely goodies. Okay. Thank you all for being here.
Yes, thank you, ladies.
Thank you. It's wonderful. I'm so excited.
Yes.
Thank you.
Congratulations. It is an incredible achievement to become an author, to publish a story. And
Regardless of how many times you've done it.
yeah, each and every time is just,
It's different every time, and every time is just as important as the last and the next. So
Well, this was my virgin voyage, so
welcome aboard, Teresa.
thanks for letting us pop your cherry.
Yes.
you're welcome.
Well, ladies, enjoy the rest of your afternoons or evenings. Celebrate yourself. Take care of yourself. Have grace for yourself. And just know that we, Tracy and I, love and appreciate you so very much. And congratulations on this freaking amazing book. And I cannot wait to hear more and more stories and reviews from how it's touched people, because each one of you are freaking amazing.
Couldn't have done it without you.
Yes.
We couldn't have done it without you guys either. So, love you so much.